Tanya Brown.
Yes.
Welcome to Canada.
Thank you.
Our very first franchisee. I want to introduce everyone to Tanya Brown from Baltimore, Maryland, who is our first franchisee in the East Coast. We're very, very excited to have you.
Yes, excited to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, who's Tanya Brown?
Who's Tanya Brown? Was an athlete in high school. Tanya played basketball, ran track. She was interested in journalism, and English was a strong point, and went off to college and went to journalism. Well, I went to University of Maryland for a while, and then I graduated from Towson, communications major, and worked for a couple of newspapers in Pennsylvania as well as Virginia, and then transitioned over to the federal government and have been there for over 20 years now.
20 years.
Yep, doing communications, public affairs, marketing, and communications.
Okay. What was the passion there? That's a long career in communications. What was the exciting part about it?
The exciting part is actually telling people's story. I think that's what got me into writing, is just telling people's story and being able to make a difference in telling that story. Mm-hmm. And then when I transitioned over into the federal government, it became public affairs. So it was more of the spin and cleaning up messes. So, I mean, that's what public affairs is. So
funny you mentioned that. We literally just filled a public affairs position a month ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, small world. So you were public affairs for 20 years?
Yes, 20 years.
Cleaning up everyone's mess.
Cleaning up messes, yep.
What were examples of what would be a mess? Define what would be a bad day in the office?
Oh, man. Someone would say something negative against the agency or the company, and then you had to go behind and clean it up. Okay. Or someone had done something, for example, there may have been like sexual harassment or something along those lines. And then you're trying to make the agency still look good and make sure that they are still presented in a positive light. Mm-hmm. Whereas, the employee can bring that down. So it was things
How many times did that happen?
Just a handful of times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the day-to-day like?
Day-to-day was, I did a lot of media relations. So it was a branch between our employees as well as the media. And so anything that they did, the media would reach out to our employees wanting information. They would come to us. We would generally clear the media and make sure that everything was on the up and up. We'd also prep our employees to make sure that they were prepared to give interviews, all of those things. It was just anything that was public facing or anything as far as, because I worked for, can I say who I worked for?
Anyone want to say whatsoever.
I worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and they had scientists there because one of the arms of the U.S. Department of Agriculture is the research arm, which is the Agricultural Research Service. Yep. And a lot of research that they do is some of it's sensitive when you're dealing with the HPAI, the bird flu. Yeah. We're dealing with that now, and that's raising up egg prices, raising up milk prices, and it's affecting consumers. That all comes through my agency.
So you have a big agriculture background. You know the agriculture world very well.
Yes.
The affairs person that we found was for an organization that is for agriculture. Really? And we found him also a scientist as well. Get out. To, for as far as disease research, all that stuff. Other industries are you very familiar with?
The healthcare. I did communications in the National Institutes of Health, as well as the American Association of Blood Banks. So my whole background has been in healthcare and kind of science communications, but it's always been in communications. Yeah.
Got it. Now tell me more about Baltimore.
What can I tell you about Baltimore? Baltimore is known for its inner harbor. It's known for its crab cakes. It's called Charm City. It's got issues just like any other city has issues, but it's just a nice hometown feel. Would
you say, what excites you about opening up a CPG recruitment office specifically in Baltimore? Do you see?
Because just like you help people here, there's always people who need jobs and there's always people who are hiring, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can be that conduit between those two, it's similar to what I was doing in my job in the federal government. It was the scientists that I was connecting with the media, and you were that conduit to make sure everything was safe, everything was healthy, that they were prepared. And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to this. Yeah, it's you're connecting employees with employers, people who need each other, and you're, like you said, matchmakers, and putting them both together, and so you're fulfilling two needs at once. Yeah. So and
we're helping them by helping people find jobs. I guess, for you, what defines good customer service, good customer experience?
Communication, great communication. Making sure that everyone is in the loop, making sure that you understand what it is that employer needs, and also understanding what the employee is looking for. So being able to communicate that and bring it both together, and then being able to keep everybody up to speed on every step of the way. I guess it's just great communication.
New administration coming in.
Yes.
And what do you think 2025 is going to look like in your area? And how do you feel like you could really help and contribute? Do you see that companies are going to be growing and hiring?
Great question. New administration is going to be good for businesses, yes. From the federal government, there's a lot of fear. There is a lot of uncertainty because there's the talk of trying to reduce government and trying to reduce the number of employees. So I do feel that with that, people are leaving early that can leave early. I also feel that there's going to be a lot of attrition. And because you have such a big center of federal employees in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, I think you're going to have a lot more of employees trying to come to you looking for positions. But I think that business is good under the new administration. So I think businesses will be growing, and I think they will also be hiring. I'm not sure if those leaving federal government are going to be the greatest fit for those businesses, but I do feel there might be a flux of people coming into, and I think we're even seeing it now because I believe I was reading a report that a lot of agencies are starting to see a rise in candidates coming in looking for positions that are leaving the federal government. And so I do feel that business itself is going to grow, and it's going to be, it's a great time for it now.
But the talent is still hard to find.
Yes, talent is going to be hard to find. I think there's going to be more talent coming into the marketplace, but I do not feel like, I don't know if there's going to be the greatest match for what. And the reason I say that is because a lot of the federal government may be 2 to 3 or 4 years behind private industry and as far as technology advances and moving forward. So the talent may not be up to par with what the private sector needs. That's coming, and I'm speaking specifically from the federal government to private sector.
I agree. And because we see that here as well. Actually, by middle of 2024, we have in Windsor the highest unemployment rate in Canada. It was at 9.2%. Was its peak. So almost 1 in 10 people didn't have a job. So, and you have a lot of people that are looking for a job. That's the 9% that were unemployed. However, there's a lot of businesses that were looking to hire. So you have both that are looking, but there's no match. How do you have, if you have businesses that are hiring and you still have a higher unemployment rate, that means there's a disconnect between the talent and the businesses that are in that area. And, one thing, when you look at it from a city perspective, to bring down that rate, you either diversify your industries so that way those people that are unemployed, that can't find jobs in industries that are hiring, they could find jobs now. Or it's you develop your people to be able to cater to the markets, the industries that you have. We have 28,000 people that are unemployed, and there's 17,000 jobs open. Maryland's in a very healthy spot, but if you look at it too, for those that are hiring, there's almost 1.6 jobs per person. This is why it's very difficult to find employees in Maryland, in Baltimore specifically, is because you don't have a high supply of unemployed people. You're constantly headhunting because for every job posting that's out there, there's 1.6 applicants you're going to get. So you're limited to options. Right? Whereas, so what would then have to happen, because you're not going to get, especially for those skilled positions like legal, accounting, healthcare, it's purely going to be a headhunting game, in my opinion. And what excites you about your journey joining CPG and coming here? What are some things, personal things that excite you about it?
Personal things is I'm doing something that is going to be mine. I'm doing something that's no longer someone else has control of my time, my finances, my life, and that's what a job did. And I have a choice. I can go out and do the next thing, what's the next chapter, or I could sit and ride and just wait out retirement in a nice cushy job. And like you said, you got a paycheck coming each and every week. But I'm like, that doesn't excite me. It doesn't do anything for me. It just feels like I'm just riding average. And I feel there's more for me to do than just ride average.
Yeah.
And I think that this job and this opportunity is giving me an opportunity to take control of my finances, take control of my time, take control of my life. And even though people say, you're an entrepreneur, it takes up a whole lot of your time, but it's my time. And I'm going to do what I want to do with that time. And if it's building this business and I'm spending 80 hours a week doing it, then I spend 80 hours a week doing it. But I do know in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I won't be spending 80 years doing it, and I'll be able to do something that I enjoy. I will have built something that I love, and I'm helping people while all along doing it.
Tell me why you like the recruitment industry.
I like it because I was a manager in my former job, and the way the whole process went was I had to build an entire team, and they were throwing me 100 resumes at one time. And I was just like, I have a team that I have to manage, the 2 people. I've got 3 vacancies. I've got to do the work. The work has still got to get done. And now you're throwing me 100 resumes. And the whole feeling of being overwhelmed was just enormous. And having to go through each and every resume and having to do all of the work. And so when I saw recruiting as an actual job that you could actually, a business that you can run, I was like, this is perfect. Because I know how it feels to be in that position of being overwhelmed, of not having anybody to help you, of having to go through all the interviews, of having to do all of that work when you still have your own job to do. And you have to keep everything running, and you still have to meet the mission, you still have to meet the goals, and you still have to hire. And you can't. I saw that this was an opportunity that I could get into and I could help people, jumped on it.
Yeah. Well, we're really looking forward to having you here.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're going to have a very strong year.
Yes, looking forward to it.
We're very excited for the Baltimore, Maryland market and having you here. And no, we can't wait for the people to learn more about you and to find out all kinds of things about you, because you're going to be the biggest help for sure.
Awesome.
Big heart, most honest person I've ever met.
Oh,
I think any business can put all their trust in you, knowing that you will take care of them and making sure that at the end of the day they're happy. So
that's the goal. That's excited to be here, and I think that you all are a great team. I thank you for welcoming me. I feel like I'm part of the family now, and
sure are.
I'm just ready to go. I feel like I have the great support, and that it's just going to be a great year.
Well, welcome to the business.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The journey will begin. Welcome to entrepreneurship as well.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.